This week in personal training, I'll be talking about Joel Jamison's Certified Conditioning Coach certification workshop at the UFC Performance Institute, and more specifically, Mike Robertson's talk and hands-on workshop that he did there on his R7 approach to writing training programs. So if you do the BioForce Certified Conditioning Coach certification, once a year, Joel Jamison, the guy who created the certification, hosts a small workshop for people who have been certified. And this year, we were lucky enough to be able to go to that workshop at the UFC Performance Institute. And that was a couple weeks ago. Me and my wife Sarah went, and it was really, to be honest with you, it was a really cool experience because, first of all, the UFC Performance Institute is just an awesome place, and that was kind of what I wasn't really expecting to take a trip that month, but when Joel sent out the emails saying that I was going to be there, I was like, you know what, I do want to go, and this will definitely kind of like put the icing on the cake to make sure I'm going to show up, because I've always wanted to check that place out and haven't had a chance to get there yet. So the combination of being able to go to the UFC PI and then go to the workshop, which had an awesome lineup, it was a no-brainer for me, and I was going to definitely make sure I made it happen. So the speakers were Joel Jamison, Mike Robertson, Luka Hocevar, and Duncan French. And Joel, like I said, is the creator of the BioForce certification and also the Morpheus app and hardware watch chest strap that helps people monitor their heart rate variability, and also has a function to where you can have your clients checking their heart rate variability, and it sends all the information to you in an app, so you can kind of monitor your clients. So he has that certification, he has the HRV software, and now he's starting to do some stuff in the supplement industry too. But he was one of the speakers, and then Mike Robertson, which I'll get into more, and then Luka, his talk was on each person. Well, yeah, Mike and Luka did a talk and a hands-on, and then Duncan and Joel did lecture. And Luka's talk was about using training to be your marketing, and it was big scope, using your training to speak for itself. But within that presentation, it was just rapid fire, everything that I need to do to, if you're not somebody that focuses on marketing and business as much as training, as you're going through that presentation, you're like, man, I need to do that, man, I need to do that, man, I need to do that, that dude's on it. So yeah, it was a really good presentation on just the all the aspects of marketing and running a business and how they go together. And if you ever get a chance to see that guy do that talk, highly recommend it. Joel did his lecture on a little bit mitochondria and a little bit metabolic testing and supplementation, ways to bring metabolic testing and all the different tests that you can do to get information about your clients and athletes to help make better decisions about their nutrition and training plans, and how to incorporate that into your training plan. So he had a really good talk on that, and he's putting out a lot of info on that right now. So if you follow him in any capacity, you'll be able to learn all about that. Duncan French, the notes I took on Duncan French, because as I was watching Duncan French, I wasn't as much absorbing information that I was going to take away and apply right now as much. I was just kind of enamored by, number one, he had really good slides, and I was just like, wow, this guy has probably put a decade into this slide. Like, this slide has so much information in it that there's no way I could possibly absorb this information right now. The point of the slide is just to know that there's that much information. So his talk was more a talk about, my big takeaway, I learned that there are people on another level when it comes to research and the ability to organize a program. So he's on another level because A, he's been doing it a long time at a high level. He's a super smart guy. He's put in the work. And now he has access to everything possible that there is to train an athlete, and a team of fantastic people. And he's put himself in a situation to be able to do things at a super high level. But man, the organization skills that the guy had was just like the biggest takeaway. Like the documentation, the research, the dude's got to have a lot of spreadsheets, man. He's got to sit in front of spreadsheets and do a lot of work to be able to get the information he has. But since he's done that, now he has a pile of information in which now he can make better decisions from. And yeah, that my biggest takeaway is that I want to be able to not only learn as I'm training people and doing what I'm doing, but I need to, or I don't need to, but I would like to do a better job of just kind of documenting things and kind of putting that together so I can see the big picture. For example, it would be nice just to know or to document the vertical jump of all the athletes I've worked with and have that broken down into sport and know what vertical jump height is kind of the cutoff to be exceptional at that sport. Things like that. Just to be able to kind of look at data and be able to make decisions off data instead of just making decisions off what other people have told you or what you remember. The biggest thing I want to talk about today, though, is Mike Robertson's Talking Hands-On, because I took the most notes from that because A, I got a lot from it, but B, I've been living this. So Mike has been a mentor for a long time. Specifically, some years ago, I was really learning a ton from Mike. I was going to Indianapolis on a regular basis. I was doing a lot of talks, and we were interacting together all the time, so I saw this guy as much as I saw my family for periods of time. So I've learned a lot from this guy, and he shaped the way I train. So, but it's been like 5 years since I've really sat down and had like a real conversation or been together in person at a workshop or seminar. So there was a lot of questions that I wanted to ask him about kind of like, what have I missed? Like, what are your big breakthroughs and what have you learned over the last 5 years that I may have missed out on not being as focused on training education because I've been focused on other parts of education in my life. So the other presentations were super impactful and all like fantastic presentations and with tons of great information, I knew that Mike's would be the one that I wanted to that would be the most applicable tomorrow, because his approach is so similar to mine based on me being so closely mentored by him. So his talk was about the R7 approach to writing programs, and I wanted to go over that. I wanted to go over each of the 7 things to include in a workout or workout program and kind of talk about my takeaways or the notes that I took on each one of those things. So basically this R7 approach, imagine a workout card, and then each of these 7 things is a section on that workout card. So the first part is release. And the note I took is F science, foam rolling works, but keep the time to a minimum. And yeah, the debate about foam rolling and the studies about it, I mean, I completely agree with this. That's why I wrote it. This isn't necessarily things he said. This is my interpretation of things he said and my notes about it. And my notes on release, which is foam rolling, tissue quality, any of that stuff, is it's at one point in time in the fitness industry, foam rolling was like the magic potion for everything. Like if your leg was broken, just foam roll it and you'll be good. And then it kind of swung towards, oh my God, foam rolling, so stupid. Studies show that it doesn't release or whatever tissue. Yeah, studies show that it's stupid. And yeah, so that's why I wrote F science, foam rolling works. It's not whatever studies show, okay. But additionally, 18 years of foam rolling, there are some adaptations that occur from foam rolling that are beneficial to take place before you train. Even if it's neural, if it's relaxation, if that muscle is whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, tight, it is on, it is whatever you want. If you foam roll that muscle and it settles down into a state that you want it to be in, that's good. The effects that you're going to get off that are not so dramatic that you should spend a ton of time on it. So find your high priority areas. If you know your quads are always super lit up, if you know that your right adductor you want to settle down and for whatever reason, if you know you want to hit just a specific spot on your body, or if you just want to generally just kind of go over your body to kind of prepare mentally and physically for a workout, it's not a bad idea if you spend a short amount of time on it and just make sure that it's going to be worth your time. Number 2 is reset. So we have release and then we have reset. And reset is the part of the program where, like in my vernacular, that is your custom correctives. So, but this is, with the word reset can mean so many things to so many people and look so many different ways. But what Mike is talking about specifically when he's doing resets is more specifically driving air flow to different parts of your body that is going to help position your body better to prepare for that workout. So my notes are: create space, move into the space, 1 to 3 sets, 2 to 5 breaths of driving airflow. And what create space, move into the space means is, like, for example, create space, and the example he used, and it's like, say for example someone's super extended, they have the space here but they're lacking the space back here, so you want to give them some exercises where they can create space in the back, then utilize that newfound space that you've created through breathing with different positions, setting yourself in different positions and going through different movements, utilizing that new positioning of your body. So resets are basically the exercises in which you're trying to either work with someone's breathing to get their breathing online, or you're trying to reposition their body in some way, typically with breathing paired with a position that more easily gets them to be able to drive the airflow where you want it to go. So once again, we're hitting up release, reset, and then readiness. And readiness is basically your general warm-up. My notes on that improve blood flow, body temp, etc. But might as well make sure you are building off the reset. So just because, you have your exercises at the front end of the warm-up that are focusing really specifically, dialed in on what you're trying to do to get that person's individual body is close to neutral as possible. And then from there, you're moving on to more general exercises to get blood flow up, get their body more generally prepared for exercise. However, you want to keep in mind what you were just trying to do with the reset, and you can reset and readiness can, it's not like there's this hard line on what reset and readiness looks like. Like, they go together, in my opinion, and you want to build off your reset with your readiness while preparing them for the next portion of the program. So we got release, reset, readiness. The next R4, is reactive, which is the power section of your workout, explosiveness or speed work. And my biggest notes on that, and one of the things that he really demonstrated well, is that sometimes with general population clients or people that aren't athletes, it's when you're thinking of explosive work, you're thinking of Olympic lifts and super complicated things, but medicine ball work and like low level stuff that's just working on increasing speed and explosiveness is good for everyone. So it doesn't have to necessarily be big compound lifts. Just having somebody standing in front of the wall and just trying to accelerate the ball towards the wall is a good way to work with just about anybody. Chest passes, overhead ball slams, and different wall ball variations. If you want some cool wall ball variations, check out Eric Cressy's social media or his website, because they do tons of cool medicine ball stuff. My biggest takeaway from that section was that, for me personally, I haven't lately been doing like specific power work as power work. I've been including that stuff kind of in like circuits for general population people, or I might have a program or a workout that is more based on power or power endurance, but it's very seldom that I'm giving people the true rest periods they need to develop real power. So it just kind of reminded me, just going there, sitting through it, hey, you've kind of neglected this portion of your training, or not just prioritize it as its own thing. And that's what's cool about this R7, is this kind of just breaks everything down, and you remember. You put it on a workout card and you remember. So we got release, reset, readiness, reactive, and next we have resistance. And honestly, I took no notes for resistance, because this is the one area that I felt the strongest in, and I also feel that this is the area that most trainers are strongest in. And there's a lot of nuance in there, and I think that that's an area that really, my takeaways were that I feel confident there. After that, we have resiliency, which is energy work, conditioning, cardio, whatever you want to call it. My notes were that energy work should be programmed to bring up the weakest link in sport or life. So I think a lot of times we'll just kind of throw in a finisher just for the sake of doing a finisher, to make people feel like they did something hard for general population. And then for athletes, it's more specific. However, it could be more specific. I think that we would be better served if we had the ability or put more effort into doing different testing to see which energy systems our athletes need the most work in. So that way we are prioritizing training those energy systems. And it depends on the athlete, and it also depends on the phase of the program and the phase of the season, or when they have a fight. Or for us, we train a lot of fighters more than other athletes. So there's a lot of factors in that. But my biggest takeaway there is I would like to have a more specific protocol consistently for everyone, that we are working on the weakest links in their energy systems, not just the weakest links in their movement, strength, power. And last but not least, we have recovery, which is the cool down. My notes are put it back on the workout card to remember. And that, I'll just go right into my big takeaway of the entire lecture, was that having each of these categories on the workout card makes you remember and prioritize correctly. So, clients should have a cool down. But I took it off the workout card to save space, so I didn't have so much stuff on the workout card, and I had more space that if I wrote it in, I could write bigger. So, since I want to write it in with a pen or pencil instead of typing it in, cool downs aren't on my workout cards anymore. And since it's not on the workout cards anymore, I often just forget to tell them to do something for a cool down. So even if it's just as simple as doing a couple of their warm-up exercises for a minute or two to cool down, or taking a walk on a treadmill, or doing some breathing exercises, since it's not on there, a lot of times my clients will crush it. They'll kind of hang out, we'll chit-chat, peace out. No real cool down. It would be ideal if they did a cool down, and then more specifically did a cool down, in my opinion, that is like a reset or a reposition that reinforces what you did in that workout as far as getting their movement changes to sticks. So the cool down or recovery is just something that, once again, I need to just make sure becomes a priority. And again, the big takeaway from that talk is I need to have better workout cards, and I need to make sure that I have this on here just so those little things like making sure I program power as power and not just throwing power exercises into strength, and when getting lazy with general pop people, or forgetting the warm-up, or not forgetting the warm-up, I've never forgot a warm-up, forgetting the cool down, things like that. Just making sure that you don't forget stuff. He also said, or one of the questions that people asked are, do you do all 7 of these things in every workout? And his answer was no. And that makes a lot of sense, because you're not always going to be able to focus on every attribute of fitness and performance in a workout. Sometimes you're going to want to put more effort into power. You might have a power-based workout, so you're going to not necessarily do strength or resiliency, or you might be doing a heavy strength workout and you might not want to do power or resiliency. But having it laid out keeps it at the front of mind. You can make your own decisions from there, but it just pretty much makes it a really simple laid out system in front of your face in which to write programs. So I think it's a good way to remember all the things that you should include in a program. I like the way he lays it out, and those are my big takeaways from his talk. In addition to the talk, he also did a hands-on, and really what we did was we went through a really good warm-up, which got me thinking, because here's a really quick timeline of events in my training life. There's no PRI, then there is PRI, and I don't want to do all that stuff. Let me see if I can get the same results that you would get with doing all that stuff out of some basic shit instead of doing all this, and concluded that that's not so much possible. You got to have it be more specific. The breathing's important, the repositioning is important, blah blah blah. But he takes us through a warm-up very similar to the warm-ups that I've taken my clients through for the last 10 years. Very similar to the warm-ups that I've been teaching people for the last 10 years. A lot of the exercises that I currently use for general prep, for the non-specific. We did no breathing really. We did no feet up on the wall stuff. We just did a nice warm up that left me feeling like I did all that stuff. Like I did the breathing, like I did the repositioning, like I did the very specific stuff. At the end of the warm up, he's like, now get up, and everybody has that thing that they know that they're good or they're not good. Like if your warm up was good, you have that movement that you know that was a really good warm up. And for me, after I reposition and warm up, I will do a toe touch, and then I'll put my feet and knees together and do a feet and knees together squat, agent squat, whatever you want to call it. If I can touch my toes and squat all the way down, my feet and knees together, I know that I am money. And as he was saying that, I was like, well, I know my two check things, but there's no way in hell that after this plane ride and this lumpy ass bed at this hotel and as jacked up as I'm feeling right now, that I'm going to be feeling good after just going through that warm up, and bam, dude. Fingers to toes, ass to grass. Felt great. I'm like, what the hell is the difference? And I think that the big difference was that he was really, really driving the reach in a lot of the exercises. It's like the arm bar there was reaching. He was really cueing the reaching, and I think that's the difference. I think that just the reaching and then the breathing and reaching and getting that space that I talked about earlier was all I really needed. At least to get good on that day. It still got me a little befuddled. That warm-up shouldn't have made me feel that good. I don't know, to be real, I don't know. It was a really good warm-up. And I think that he said that he's got like a lot of that, or it's recorded or something, ground series. I will, when I edit this, I'll go in, I'll find that and put it in the description. So I think it's the Mike Robertson ground series or something like that. But if it's the same exact stuff we did, it's super simple. It's just like rocking arm bars, like pretzel. Yeah, nothing too groundbreaking or different if you followed anything that I've done in the past. But the way it was done on that particular day changed my world. From there, he took everybody through some fundamental squat and deadlift progressions, and more so regressions, to just kind of let everybody see his thought process on what a good squat deadlift would look like, and what to do when it doesn't. So some different variations and some different regressions to make sure that he was really just teaching good form, teaching good regressions. It was solid content, and yeah, glad I was there. So overall, the workshop was awesome. You should go next year. If you're not certified, if you're not a BioForce Certified Conditioning Coach, you should. If you're interested in training athletes and learning more about energy systems and just an overall good approach to periodized training and just writing programs, assessment, it's an overall really good certification. And I feel like I'm not going to require my new trainers to have it, but as I hire new people, I'm going to encourage them to take it, whether that's me paying for it or whatever. But I want my trainers to know this information. And it was organized in a way that was easy to learn at your own pace. And I think that anybody at all levels, from new trainer to like the highest level, is going to get some good stuff from the certification. I'm not like promoting it. I don't have like a financial interest in if you get the certification or not. I'm just recommending it because it's been one of the better online certifications that I've taken. And then it was cool that this workshop was free. Like, I just had to get there. There was no extra cost involved. If you're certified, you just can come to these workshops. And beyond the education at the workshop, if you like to like network and talk with some really smart people and be able to just be there, like hanging out, having dinner, and like there was like a Cirque du Soleil show that everybody went to. We had dinner a couple times. We went to the Mob Museum, which I was like, I don't know, I'll just go. But then that was a great experience. I learned a lot. So it wasn't just like your typical big seminar. It was a small workshop. It was your boutique personal training studio to the big box gym of workshops. And I plan on going next year. And yeah, I can't recommend the certification and the workshop enough. Normally here at the end, I like to wrap up what I've done in the training over the last week. But technically, it's been 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, it has been intense. And this video has been long enough that I think I'll spend a little more time on that on next week's episode. Talk about some of the things that I've learned online, some of the cool stuff that's happened in the gym, and some of the crazy stuff that I'm doing in my life as a personal trainer. See you next week.